Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Gabi joining me. Hey, Gabi.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey, guys, we have an exciting video, how to get your specific person to commit in 6 months or less. Actually, you know what? It could be as fast or as slow as you want. So we're both going to, actually, I'm going to share one of my personal success story with Andrew, and Gabi's going to share one from her client. So really excited about that. And we'll give you some tips of how you can create that in your life. Just before we dive into it, guys, Gabi's having a 50% off sale right now, and she is a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, NLP practitioner, as well as a EFT coach, so tapping, and a life coach. So she's definitely qualified to be helping coach you, getting your life on track. She's going to be able to help you dig out your old story and create a new story with you. So, and absolutely a pleasure to chat with. And guys, if you haven't already, we are giving away a free course, how to identify your blocks to manifest anything fast. It's going to go through and help you with correcting and building a mental diet, because a mental diet is absolutely everything when you're manifesting anything. That's the one thing you have to do, because your thoughts create, and every single thought that you have counts and it's powerful. So, your thoughts are your magic wand. So that course will help you to build your mental diet, and it's absolutely free. So link in the description. So I'm excited to hear your success story, Gabi.
Yes. Well, ironically, everyone is you pushed out. We're always talking about that, because I literally was talking today about how your thoughts are your magic wand. So thanks for saying that again, Amanda.
Right on.
So I just wanted to share a success story from a client. So I had a client who I have been working with, who was in a relationship for 2 years, and her partner prior to being in a relationship with her was married. And my client had a story that I think a lot of people might have, which is that if you've been divorced, you maybe don't want to be in a committed relationship, right? That was a huge story for her. She was really holding on to that story. And what ended up happening was her partner actually came to her and in the middle of the breakup conversation said, I don't want to be in a committed relationship. So everyone is you pushed out. That actually got pushed out into her relationship. So we started working together, and we really started digging into what were her beliefs around relationships, her beliefs around her partner specifically, and especially because he had been divorced before. What was that belief, system like? What was that assumption that she was holding? And then what were her assumptions and beliefs around her as a partner and her as an individual? And as we started really digging into those and really starting to work with her on her mental diet and flipping her thoughts, which is something that we always talk about here at Create Your Future, she started to see lots of movement. Now, one thing I will say is that my client was really reliant a lot on movement in the 3D. So that was something that we really worked on as we were working through her coaching sessions. And we were really focusing on, don't look so much for movement in the 3D, because as we know, signs follow, they don't precede. So you're not going to see the movement until you've already made the shift within yourself, because really there's no one to change but self, right? So she was working through her own stories, flipping her thoughts, really changing her assumptions. And after 6 months of no contact, her partner came back and said, I love you. I do want to be in a committed relationship with you. And they are together. It's so great. It's so amazing. I'm so happy for her. She knows who she is. And it's just a fantastic story. And I love working with her.
Oh my God, I love that. I'm just so proud. That is absolutely amazing. One thing I'd like to actually point out is we do say no one to change but self. And sometimes I think this gets misunderstood. And I picked this up because I do read every single one of your guys' YouTube comments. And sometimes people think that means that there's no one to change but your self-concept. But that's not necessarily true. Okay, so self-concept would be, I am a good girlfriend. I am a good wife. I am a good coach. I am good at, I'm a good businesswoman. Okay, that's my self-concept in relation to a relationship, a business, whatever. But there's one other thing we need to change, our assumptions about other people. Because, I can say that I'm a great girlfriend or a great wife, but I can say so-and-so doesn't want to be in a relationship with me, which is exactly what happened in my case. So my case, okay, my whole entire life, I had no problem getting in a relationship. I always assumed guys wanted to be with me and wanted to be in a relationship, and I had no problem with relationships up until I got older. All of a sudden, I'm dating this guy that was previously married, and he was like, I don't want to be in a commitment. And I was like, oh, okay. So got tired of him, moved on, met Andrew. Andrew was previously married, and I wanted him to move in with me. And he comes out and says to me, well, no, I was previously married. It didn't work out. I don't want to be in a commitment. again. And I was like, oh my goodness. So if I would have said, I'm a good girlfriend, that wouldn't have mattered. I already had that story because every guy before Andrew, that and the guy before him that wasn't married, totally wanted to be in a relationship with me. So what I needed to do was change my assumption of guys that were previously married. Okay, so I'm not saying don't work on your self-concept. I'm saying self-concept isn't everything, because it really is just, I am good enough to be in a relationship. I am good enough to get married. But that doesn't change your assumptions that you're projecting on the other person, because they're you pushed out and they're going to show up the way that you assume them to show up. So if you assume them to have baggage, well, they're going to have baggage. They're going to have tons of it for you to unpack, right? So, It's so funny. Your client had that story. I had that story. And I think a lot of you guys have that story. If you're previously in a relationship that went bad, and it's like, no, you know what? Look at them as mature, emotionally mature people that seriously can get over a breakup and be ready to hop into another relationship, right?
Exactly. And even going back to what you said at the beginning of the video with your thoughts being your magic wand, I mean, really and truly digging into that. And as Neville says, really buying the pearl, right? Going all into that faith and that belief system of, I am a reality generator. Like, I select my reality. I select the experiences, including how people show up for me. And so really and truly focusing on those thoughts, and just letting, again, that 3D not be the judgment for you to determine your mental diet. Like, use it as a feedback tool, but don't use it as your barometer or your measure for how things are going. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah. Because we look and it's not there and we're like, question why it's not there. We've just blocked it. The other thing about, people in relationships is look at them like they've got Postit notes on them. Okay. So look at your specific person. What assumptions have you made of that person? What Postit notes are on them? And take a look at those Postit notes and change them. You've got to shift the story about the person to actually shift how the person shows up for you, right? And, especially if you're wanting to get into a commitment and you think, oh, they always out with their friends. Okay, you've put that Postit note on them. You're going to have to change that Postit note. So instead of that, you're going to say, no. Instead of them going out with their friends, they actually have grown up and they want to stay home with me. Okay, you've got to go through all of those things that you've put on there. Self-concept, you have it down when you say, look, I'm good enough to be in a relationship. I'm a great girlfriend. I'm a great fiance. I'm a wonderful wife, right?
Yeah. And I think that's really important. I know that a lot of times in the LOA community, we do get a little sidetracked sometimes around self-concept. And as you mentioned earlier, sometimes people equate that to self-esteem. And I really think that it's important for people to recognize that it's not just about what you're thinking about yourself, but also what are you thinking about other people? Like you mentioned, what Postit notes have you placed on them? And what Postit notes are you going to take off? Like, that's really what your mental diet's all about, taking off those Postit notes and throwing them in the trash.
Yeah. And self-concept is, who am I? That's the question you're answering. Self-esteem is, how do I feel about who I am, right? And then, everyone is you pushed out and no one to change about but self is, what assumptions have I projected onto the other person? So if you're one of those people, and I see this comment so often, right? And I intend for everyone that I've ever seen post this comment and question saying, I've worked on my self-concept, but I haven't gotten anywhere yet. What I intend and what I recommend for you guys is to work on your story and your assumption about the other person, because I can tell you, if you've worked on your self-concept, great. Now work on how the other person shows up for you, right?
Exactly. And also, stop saying nothing's showing up yet. Manifesting nothing.
You know what though? But when I see things aren't showing up in my reality, I'm like, no, it's happening. It's happening right now. I'm like, it's going to show up any second now. And then I move on, distract myself, right? Yep. And it's just never question why it isn't there. If you don't see it yet, reaffirm what you want. And then, and say it's showing up. And I think that, you can use that to your advantage if you're constantly checking the 3D, right?
Yes, you totally can. And remember, logic has nothing to do with manifestation. It's really just going to come down to, what are you intentionally thinking and what are you making the assumption on? Forget logic. A plus B does not equal C in the law.
Nope. It does not. I can't remember right now, but I intend to remember an example of things that are just absolutely unfathomable. Like, oh, I can't believe this and this. And it's just none of it made any sense, but that's because that's where my thoughts were, right? You know what I mean? everything shows up. Like every single one of your guys' thoughts count, every one of them, you know, and take the stance that you're perfect, whole, and complete. And, you know, really take the time to, you know, redo the story of the person that you want to commit to you. You know, the one thing you should be saying about them, right, is they want a commitment with me. They want to be in a committed relationship with me, and they're ready to do it. Right. And then whatever other story you have, write out all the negative story you have about them and change it. And then read those new intentions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 times a day until you really drill them into your mind and they become second nature to you.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that that exercise was probably the single most often used homework exercise with my client too, was really making that T chart of, you know, what are your thoughts and what are you going to flip them to? What are your thoughts and what are you going to flip them to? And I think that that's really helpful. And I think you've got I think that exercise in your manifestation journal too, right, Amanda?
Yes, it is actually. It's one of the journals. It's the mental diet journal. The mental diet journal is basically, that's what it is. And yeah, if you're like me, I made the journals, not because they contain any, you know, special information that you guys don't already know. It's basically just a journal to write in. And I like paper and I like pens, and, you know, and I made that so you can actually write in it. And that's what it gets you to do, is to revise your story, right? And then there's the daily manifestation journal that helps you to focus on what you want to create. So you can use it for the little list. There is some instructions in that one for how to, well, both of them have instructions, but again, nothing in them is anything we haven't said on here. So if you're hoping they contain some golden nugget that nobody's told you in the secret to the universe, I'm sorry, they do not. But our videos do. That contains that.
They totally do. Well, I am just super happy for my client. I think that, you know, all of the flipping of the mental diet was really like the bread and butter for her, and really recognizing how she was thinking about her partner and how her partner was, how she was assuming for him to show up, and really changing that. That really helped for her. And I think that just goes to show that, like, you know, again, 6 months, no contact. From no contact to I love you and I want to be committed to you. Boom. Like I intend that the next conversation I have with her is a ring on her finger for sure. Because that is definitely what she's working on now.
I got a ring. I got a ring. So I know it works.
He liked it so much he put a ring on it.
Yeah, I am very much married. And it's just so funny. It's like today the cleaner was here and I was talking to her about something and I was like, oh, and my husband. And I'm like, oh, it just sounds so like woohoo. I'm like, my husband. Yes, my husband, dear, my husband. Go ask my husband. Anyway, so because it's still new, it's only August, September, October. No, it's only 4 months, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't gotten bored of it yet. So it's still.
Well, I intend you never do. I intend that always brings you joy, because that is
exactly.
that is such a beautiful, like, and it makes you, doesn't that make you feel like really powerful, recognizing like where you are now versus where you were, you know, 3 years ago?
Oh, huge, you know,
Yeah.
and like, you know, and that's actually interesting you say that, because like when you think about it, like sometimes I get like down on myself, and I'm sure we all do, thinking, you know what, when we're thinking about things that we want now, right, that we're aiming for, we don't have them yet. You know what I do? I stop and I think, wow, remember 5 years ago when you wanted what you have now? You know, and it really brings me back, and wow, you know what? Yeah, I did want to be married. I did want to be successful. I did want to help people for a living, and I've actually created it, you know, and then it's like, you know, and I mean, the drive to want to create more than what you have now is great. And we need that drive, but don't let that drive, because you don't have it yet, you know, basically tear you down, right? You know, and just be grateful. You know, I think that's where being grateful really comes in. It's like, yeah, I'm grateful I'm married now, because 5 years ago I wasn't, 6 months ago I wasn't, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And just really going back to that whole, I guess, the theme of our whole video is that magic wand, right? And just recognizing that, like, my thoughts are my magic wand, and like, this is what happens. I can create my own, you know, fairy tale princess if you want, fairy tale story. You can create your own Harry Potter story, whatever you want to do. Use that wand.
You've just got to get clear on it, you know, and be focused on it, and don't entertain thoughts that are not in line with it. You know, if your thought is you want to be in a relationship, then stop saying that, you know, your specific person doesn't want to commit, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here today, Gabi. Absolutely amazing. I know so many people have had an aha moment from this video.
Yes, I completely intend that. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for your time. I love these videos with you. They're so fun.
I know they are, aren't they? And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And yeah, being a supportive community to each other, and basically, being nice in the comments and helping each other and congratulating each other. I really do appreciate it, the community that we've built together. So you guys are all part of the family, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.